Hey everybody, it's Ken Compton from the Savvy Inspector, and today I'm meeting with my good friend and fellow success coach and business owner of two locations, Brandon Goff. Dang,
I
Brandon, I don't know how you get everything done, but welcome.
don't know how to get it done either, but we stumble along and we make out okay.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to have Brandon on the call today because his schedule is insane, so I know how that works. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about digital marketing. And we're going to be talking about in another video why you should go direct to the public for business. Maybe you should reallocate some of those resources that you're paying now for other things to go to real estate agents and move to the digital. And Brandon, I want to let's before a lot of people, if you're in the membership side, of course, everybody knows you. But this video will probably be seen by other people that don't know you. So let's talk a little bit about you. Let's talk about what you do in your first life, how long you've been in a business, and those kind of little things, so people can get to know you a
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in the Seattle area, basically since I was five. Um, Grew up normal family life. Ended up going to college. Got a degree in construction management. So I was thinking, my dream job was going to be building, custom homes. That's kind of what I was aspiring for. After college, I ended up working for a couple different contractors, and turns out construction's not what it's meant out to be, I guess. Just a huge hassle, contractors never showing up, paying bills, wrong supplies getting delivered, all kinds of, crazy stuff like that. And so we bought a house shortly after we were married, which I guess I can say that we've been married for 9 years, coming up on, well, I'm sorry, no, I am wrong. It's 11 years. Make sure that Sarah doesn't hear that.
Sarah won't hear it. I'll cut it out. Not.
Okay. We got two kids. They're right now they're 10. Jameson turns 10 in a couple weeks, and Jillian is 8. So
couple little characters, good ones too,
yeah,
cuties. They get on the call with us sometimes, so I get to see them quite a bit.
they're fun. So we bought a house, and our agent said, "Hey, you guys should get a home inspection." And so that's where I was introduced to the whole concept. After speaking with that guy for a little bit, I showed up to the inspection, picked his brain a little bit, and turns out I could probably do home inspections too. So it really started out to be kind of a moonlighting gig for me. I never really had it. I mean, my job, I always wanted to have a good job that paid well and building houses and that kind of stuff. But it got to the point where I was making more money part-time doing home inspections than I was full-time at my career. And so it was kind of a process and lots of conversations about how do we transition into being full-time inspector. And so we made the leap, and that's kind of how we got into it. So.
Right. Yeah, that's fantastic because nobody ever grows up to say, I want to be a home inspector.
No.
Now, maybe some of the second, third generation home inspectors' kids do, but
Yeah,
my kids are like, Dad, no, home inspection, no, that's not for me. So most of the business owners that we coach, their kids really aren't in it either. So, it's a second or third career for almost everybody.
yeah.
A good career and can be very, very lucrative. Well, Brandon, let's talk about when you first joined the Savvy Inspector, you focused on coaching. So it was, how can we do all those traditional things to get systems in place so that we can build a business like a business?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things you found out early in hearing you talk about it in the past was maybe you didn't have the skills to go directly to the public. Let's talk about that website you might have built.
Yeah. I've mentioned several times, when I first started, I had enough wherewithal to say, I need a website. And so, I found the cheapest website I could build it myself, and it just was a template and revolved around me. And at the time, I was driving this little yellow car that Sarah had when we got married, and that was kind of my work truck, and it got good gas mileage. And there was my photo on the website next to the car, and I thought it was super cool. But turns out, when you only get a couple of clicks in a week, and most of them are because you asked your family members to go check out the website, that's not really going to produce a lot of results. And so that's kind of how I found the Savvy, actually. I think I've shared this with you. I did a search on Google how to market home inspections or something like that, and up popped this an article written by Ken Compton, and it was something like 5 or 7 mistakes home inspectors make on their website. So I read through it, and I was making every single one of them. And so that was kind of a turning point for me. That was when I said, you know what, I have no idea how to run a business, how to market it. I can do a home inspection, and I can do a great home inspection, but how to grow a company, I just didn't want to be another statistic at that point where, someone got a license to do home inspections but didn't know how to run a business. And so that's when I committed to myself, we got to find a way to make this work. I mean, at that point, I had quit my job too, so I was kind of all in at that point.
Well, so you really realized the internet had power for you to get business, but it was just how to make that happen was really the what's problem.
Yeah, and something maybe we'll talk about a little more too is, especially early on, I wasn't, I just didn't know how to approach marketing really at all, and so, one of the things that I'm getting better at it now, but a lot of it, the traditional marketing for home inspectors is, going into real estate offices and schmoozing it up with the agents, right? And that wasn't really my thing. So, I have to ask myself, well, how do I generate leads otherwise? And, the way around the real estate agents is really going to be your online presence. So.
So I know that you hear me say all the time, and you guys say it too, but I look at something and say, what's my outcome? So when I'm looking at a project and I'm saying, what's my outcome? So when you looked at building an online presence, because you first started off thinking about a website, I mean, you weren't even thinking traffic and how traffic got your website and conversions and copy and all those things. You were thinking about, hey, how do I make this work? So going to the public, direct to the public for home inspections. So what was your outcome? What did you say? Okay, if I could get 16 inspections a month, or did you have any kind of expectations on what you might be able to leverage from the internet?
Yeah, really not at first. I mean, that was just kind of a totally new concept to me, to be honest. I mean, I feel kind of silly now thinking about it at this point, not even having any kind of I just knew I need a website, and I want to see how many clicks I can get. So I'd go in there and check every couple of days and see, hey, I got 3 clicks here, after a month or so. And so 3 clicks in a month isn't really going to turn into much. And I knew that much. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing I was tracking was those clicks, thinking back now on it. But there was no way to track conversions or really calls. I didn't even, I answered my own phone at that time and never had a conversation with the clients about how did you hear about us and that kind of stuff. So I didn't even have any way to know if they came from an agent typically or the website, which I can guarantee you didn't produce any inspections at all. So.
Well, you're in good company because you only know what you know, and most people focus on their business and not all the intricacies of getting business from the internet. So I mean, so that's a very common thing we hear all the time. So your biggest problems, I think, that you had hearing what you're saying was you needed leads, okay, and you weren't getting them from the website. What did you have any other goals for your website? I mean, did you want to convey information to the customer? Did you ever think about them booking online with you without talking to them and these other types of things? Maybe, other things?
Yeah, I had a couple little things in there, the typical home inspector website revolves around who I am as a home inspector, what certifications I've got, all about me and who I am. I think it did have an online form that people can come in and fill out, but it wasn't actually tied to any kind of scheduling system or anything. It was just get their information. And so, I'd get 1 or 2 of those maybe filled out every few months. It just wasn't a good approach. I was thinking I'm doing something. I'm staying up late at night building a website and kind of tracking stuff. So I feel like I'm doing something, but it just wasn't a good use of my time to produce results.
Yeah, I think anytime you're engaged in activity on behalf of your business, you do feel better. You kind of think about results later, but especially when you're new, it's like I got to take action today. We were just laughing about that earlier before the call about sometimes the owners have a tremendous sense of urgency, and the staff doesn't always share that same sense of
Yeah.
emergency or urgency, if you will. So I dig you on that. So really what happened is you read that article, you know, 5 mistakes, crazy mistakes the home inspectors make. I probably put in there, does your website suck? Suck is a marketing term. But, you know, if your website doesn't convert visitors into paying customers, it sucks. I mean, it's of no value to your business. It might be really pretty, and people say, oh, that's a nice looking website. Well, you know, who gives a shit? You know, how much business did it produce?
Right.
So once we got started talking with, so you talked with our team on done for you services. When I say done for you services, what that really means is in digital marketing, we teach it, sure, but most of our customers have us do it for them because it is
Hmm.
complicated. You know, there's a lot to it, and you don't have time or staff. It's really not the best use of your time. You know, sometimes you can do things yourself, and it makes complete sense. Let's say if you were calling on real estate agents or attending a meeting or whatever, then we can't do that for you. But when you're doing something like online marketing or that kind of thing, then you can certainly outsource it. And if
Yeah.
you outsource it to an effective company like ours, you get business from it.
Hmm.
So when you first heard about, wow, we can really help you with this too, then what did you think? Oh, I've hit the big time, and we're going to really rake it in, or what?
Well, let me go back 2 more websites before we jump to
Okay.
Savvy.
Okay.
um, I went through. I did realize, hey, I can't do this website thing. I gotta invest a little bit here. So I had one company do it, and it just really never ranked. It didn't really produce results for me. So I switched to a different company, and their website was beautiful. I loved it. It looked great. I did get a little more traffic with that, and got people saying, good comments about, hey, you got a great looking website, that kind of stuff. And then that's when I found the Savvy, and had a conversation with the salesperson. I can't remember who it was exactly, but we had that conversation. I said, hey, you know what? I'm really happy with the website. It looks great. People give great feedback. But he said, what's most important to you? Having a good looking website, or having what did he call it? I can't remember off the top of my head. A butt ugly website that actually turns into money, turns into good leads, right? And so obviously you got to kind of get over that little pride of like having a nice looking website. And that's not to say, the Savvy website's not, I mean, it's evolved too, or the Done For You Services website. And it looks great, and we get great comments now on it too. But that's kind of how we got. It was a little bit of a transition, thinking, I like a good looking website, but really I need results from it. And so that's what we've gotten. And I was looking at some numbers just the other day. We scheduled over 400 inspections online just in 2021, in our Washington branch.
So I want to just explain what that really means. So what happens, Brandon just said to you, they scheduled 400 home inspections where people called up the phone or logged onto his website, convinced themselves that Brandon's firm was right for them, and they booked online. Okay, no salesperson had to talk to them, no scheduler had to talk to them. Obviously, once they get booked, then you call them up and start building a relationship. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, it could have been 2 o'clock in the morning, they booked that thing. Your staff's not there. So your website's goals really can convert visitors into paying customers. But the real thing about it is it really has to let customers understand what's in it for them by choosing your firm. They know they need a home inspection. Why should they choose you? Okay, and that's really the crux of the matter. And so I think when we looked at your website initially, it didn't do that. You really said earlier it was all about you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big mistake, because at that part of the game, when they're first looking at it, they don't care anything about you because they don't know you. Now later on, it's important to know your credentials and other things, but not in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So we kind of have these headlines, but when you think about what the customer really wants from the home inspector, is they don't want to buy a money pit. And they want to be confident that you can protect them from doing that.
Yeah.
And so if your website doesn't address that right out of the gate, you have 3 seconds to catch the buyer's attention, the visitor's attention, if you will. And then if you don't
Yeah.
do it, boom, they back browse you.
Well, you call it message to market match, right? Like,
Right.
what does that client want at that moment when they're searching and they land on your website, or if they land on somebody else's website? If it's, hey, I'm a home inspector, I've got an ASHI certification. What does that even mean?
Right.
If
Who's
you go to
actually?
right. If you go to our website, it says, don't buy a money pit, or we won't let you buy a money pit,
Right.
or something along those lines. And that connects with somebody. Like, I'm getting a home inspection because I don't want to buy a house that's got a bunch of problems that I don't want to close and then find out about.
Right.
That's really where it connects with people. I will say too, one of the things that made me, make it obvious that I needed to switch to, the Savvy's website service is, the Savvy's focuses specifically to home inspectors. And so, with many years of experience that you guys have working with inspectors and your own inspection company you guys had, you guys know how to make that match and get the message out. Even with the previous website services I was using, they still didn't really get the marketing aspect of it and how to match that message. And then also, the fact that I think I was talking to Beth the other day, how many, was it 7 principles or things that are needed in each website to convert?
9 elements.
9 elements. There you go. Yeah. So, there's a bunch of things in there. We've got our reviews that go down the side that you scroll down, you can see those, and they basically the live feed the website. Maybe these are details that we can cover later, but it was obvious, these guys do home inspections, and that's what we need is more home inspections.
Right. And, by working exclusively for home inspectors, it makes it easy. Our copywriters understand the problems buyers and sellers have. They understand home inspector problems. So it's easy for us to put that message to market match together. And it resonates with home buyers. And I'll show you how it resonates. Let's just take 2 seconds and look at this. Brandon, I'm going to just ask you, let me just share my screen here so everybody can see it. But what happens is here is just a little bit of some slides I put together, and I'm not going to, normally we wouldn't show it in draft mode, but it's just as easy. So what happens is I asked Beth today if you would just give me some numbers from Brandon's report. So what happens is it's quite an investment that you have each month in the internet. Okay. And so what you've done is you've taken some dollars that you might have allocated for other things and put them towards your online presence. Okay. So I'm going to show you some results Brandon has, but I will tell you that, this is no guarantee of results for you. Please know that results come commensurate with the work that you do. Okay. So if you don't do anything, if you don't help us get reviews and you don't help us do this, that, and the other, you don't get as good of results. But what happens is, your results could be better. We have clients that have been doing this with the Savvy for a lot longer, but have much larger numbers. But since Brandon is our guest today, I wanted to make sure that you saw it. So part of the report that we provide each month is this. And what I did is I pulled July 2021. Okay. And July is a pretty heavy month. It's a good month for everybody. Okay. So we look at calls. If they're above 3 minutes, they're a call of consequences. So, because a lot of times people will say, well, it was a vendor or it was a salesperson. And I said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's stop right here and not speak to each other for 3 minutes. And now 3 minutes is a long time. But then I say, you're going to talk to somebody you don't want to talk to for 3 minutes? It just doesn't work. That's not a possibility. So in July of 2021, Brad and his team got 64 calls above 3 minutes. Okay. They got 9 calls above 10 minutes. All right. And then what happens is the total calls they got in was 168. The ones that were above 3 minutes were 73. Okay. So his potential sales revenue was 32,978. Now, Brandon, that was way better than 10x return. That was a 300x return.
Yeah.
Okay, from what you paid. So here's how we figured this potential sales revenue. Okay, we don't take your exact closing ratio. Okay, so here's Brandon's average transaction value at that month, 564.70. Okay, and we multiply that by the total calls of consequence. And then we say, okay, Brandon only closes 80%. They close way higher, but we just use 80%. So of 73 people that called at $564.70, it comes out to this number when you do the math. Okay, so that's a pretty hellacious number. That's more than some people do in a quarter or 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these were online calls. These were people who came to his website, some scheduled online without him talking to, and then some called and talked to a scheduler.
Yeah.
But one of the things we can actually tell you how many calls are missed. So this month, 2 calls are missed. And as a business owner, you need to know that. We saw a client that was missing 70 calls a month.
Wow.
So we're on the phone with you as your digital marketing partner and saying, hey, you know, what happens unless we get somebody to answer that phone, you can't make more money. Okay, so let's get another person in there to answer the phone. Here's what their salary is. Here's what the up to you is by getting somebody to answer those phone calls. Okay. So I said, let's take a historically down month. Okay, which is December of 2021. So, you know, there's less units actually being sold in December because of the holidays and all that kind of thing. So again, 587. Well, this month it was 587.81 was their average transaction value. Okay, so they had 23 calls above 3 minutes, 4 above 10 minutes, and 1 above 15 minutes. And it's not uncommon to see that you got calls above 15 or 20 minutes. So when you start looking at that, what you're going to have to say is, take a look at your schedulers and say, why did that call take 20 minutes when the others take 7.5 or 8? Not
Yeah.
that you're upset about it, but you want to see what happens. Okay, so again, they got 72 calls that month. Remember, it's a much slower month in December. And of that, 29 of those calls were above 3 minutes. Okay, and at an 80% closing ratio, 13,637. That's not shabby for December, is it?
Nope.
That's not counting everything else you did. That's just your online people calling you on the phone. They've seen your website. They've convinced themselves that you're right for them. Okay, but this one was really telling. And again, I'm just gonna say because your results can vary. You can get less results. You can get more results. It depends on if you're truly going to be our partner and help us. You know, are you going to do the things that we share with you to do? And if you do those things, I promise you that you can achieve the results you want to. So here was all of 2021. The calls of consequence by month. Again, those are over 3 minutes. You got 659 calls. And look what his potential sales revenue. Again, we assume 80% close, almost $300,000. Okay, that's a hell of a lick.
Yeah.
And we track this and give this to the business owner with lots of other information each month in their reporting because, you know, if you're paying us, I expect you to give me some information that tells me where I am. And, you know, the thing you care about most is the business owner's leads. You know, after that, that's it. Now, we had a client that Brad and I were talking to, and he's been a client of the Savvy forever. And he said, Ken, I need to generate more leads. And I said, okay, how come? And he said, because we're not getting enough business. And I said, well, let's look at this. What's the closing ratio of your scheduler? So when he went over there and found it, it was less than 50%. So if he generates 100 leads that month or 50 leads that month, 25% of them, 50% of them don't even get booked. Okay, so if he was doing 80%, he wouldn't have to get any more leads and he'd make much more money.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to look at your closing ratio. And one of the things that we're looking at here too is if your scheduler isn't answering the phone, this is 0 missed. But here's 2, but we see this a lot of times, it's huge. Okay, so you can't get a sale without it. Now, our job at the Savvy Inspector is to get you leads. Your job is to close the sale. We're not at your office scheduling the inspections. We're never going to do that. But our job is to get your phone to ring. And just off this one strategy, the phone rang this many times. Now, we didn't even include Google My Business, how many people called you directly by pushing that phone on Google My Business. This was just strictly website traffic.
Yep.
That came in and went from there. So I don't know about you, Brandon, but I kind of got a feeling you're pretty pleased.
I'm thrilled. Yeah. I hadn't seen these overall numbers for the year yet, but you know, what we can do now with this information is go back and look at our actual numbers. I do know that our close rate is closer to 90% most months. So, you know, that's a good investment. I'll take that investment all day.
Me too. If somebody says, if you give me $1,000 this month, I'll give you $5,000 at the end of the month, you know what I'd say? How many $1,000 can I give you?
Yeah.
You know, it's not about the investment, it's about the return on investment. And I think a lot of people forget that because a lot of times home inspectors will say, well, I can't afford that. But let me ask you this, can you afford not to get $300,000 in new revenue? I mean, you know, come on, let's say, and Brandon didn't, but let's say he paid $2,000 a month, which he doesn't. But the fact of the matter is, that's $24,000 if he paid $2,000 a month for the Seattle operations. Okay, so $24,000 to get $293,000. I'd probably make that switch.
Yeah.
You can't get that in the stock market.
That's true.
And you cannot get that in the stock market. So that's that. I just wanted to show everybody some numbers. Again, your numbers will vary. Depends on the market you're in. You know, if you're in a really tiny market, you know, then it's not going to be as good. But if you're in a, you know, a sizable, mid-sized market or better, and you'll help us do the things that we do. One of the things that happens is we have some trouble with clients sometimes wanting to get reviews. Well, reviews are gold, and you know what happens is without reviews, it's really difficult to sell your services.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more reviews you can get, the more we can get those placed around all over the internet. So that's what I mean by if you'll help us help you, then we'll do it. We'll show you how to do it. We'll help you set up a system. All you got to do is just do it. And that's it. But when I saw, I said, okay, 293, 742 and 4 cents ain't no bad thing for 1 year. When 400 up scheduled online, you didn't even have to talk to them. That means your website is actually convincing them that you're the right home inspection firm for them. So that means it's really being effective. Okay, so, and we look at other things too, like somebody types in your keyword phrase and they're only on there for 3 seconds. Okay, what was wrong with that? How come they bounced off?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at every aspect of your website to try to increase the number of calls you get. But think about this, Brandon. One of the things about it, if you could increase your average inspection value, let's say another $100, you know, then look at when you close it, you know, 90%, then your numbers wouldn't be this. We'd be well into the 300,000s.
Yeah.
Upper 300s.
We're working on it.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a business owner, though, that reinforces the need to get your average transaction value up. It reinforces we need to close every sale. So if we're not closing as many, maybe we should get a script, or maybe we should talk to the scheduler, or maybe we should do something. But it gives you information to take action internally. Missed calls is another big indicator. So, so I just did want to share that. Okay. So let me see where we are, Mr. Brandon. So I guess what happens, it would be crazy to ask you, would you do this again?
Yeah, I just wish I had found it the savvy sooner to kind of get my butt in gear.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you know, I think what happens is, I mean, you're on here and we're sharing this with others for a reason, because you know, I've always, and since you've known me, I've always said that real estate agents are going to be becoming less and less of the product, you know, where they kind of lose their stranglehold on the home buyer. And so that gives us real opportunities. But, you know, what happens is it gives us real opportunities to go direct to the public. And because, you know, the public really wants more from the home inspector than the real estate agent, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the home buyer really wants to know what's what. And a real estate agent wants to know almost what's what. And then that's not true in every case. You know, you and I both have good real estate agents that we know, like,
Sure.
and trust. But a lot of them, especially newer ones, they got to pay that car payments. That deal's got to go through. So one of the other things, and this turned out to be a latent benefit, and I know, Brandon, you guys have done this too, but when somebody comes, they got you on the internet, and they come to the website. I mean, they come to the home inspection. They bring an agent you don't know. Okay, so you don't know the agent, she doesn't know you, or he doesn't know you. That's to be a tremendous marketing opportunity, and you never spent one nickel on getting a new agent.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, and that's something that we've done more recently, is trying to track how some of these agents come to us. You know, we use ISN, and it allows us to track how the client came to us. And a lot of times they'll say it was through the real estate agent, or it was on a Google search, and we track that in ISN. But we don't have a way to track how a new agent comes to us or finds out about us. And maybe that client does bring that agent. So what we've done is now built a system around how do we track those agents that are new to us and how they came to us, but also how do we keep them coming back to us and recommending their clients to us. So that's how we do that.
Here's one of the things that I always say is you should get on every approved vendor list for every home real estate agent in your community, your marketing area. Because what we know is when the real estate agent gives them that list, 78% of them immediately go to the internet and start searching the people on the list. And when they see you and the body of work that you have on the internet, which is reviews and Facebook posts and articles, blog posts, you know, all kinds of things about your website, they think you know what you're doing. It proves expertise. You become the authority in that market. And so then what happens is it's easier to choose you, and price is a secondary consideration when they think you're the person for them.
Yeah.
If somebody else is $25 higher and they're not convinced they're right for them, then they don't do it. they'd rather select somebody even at a higher price to get what they need. So I think that is, you have to really think about it. So when you get on the approved vendor list at the real estate offices, um, Mary or Joe or whoever had that list out, they don't, non-top producers don't know who's on the list anyway.
Hmm.
So people start calling. The next thing you know, you got new business, and you never marketed that agent. You never heard of them,
Yeah.
but you got a new referral source right there, and you never spent a nickel for it.
Hmm. Well, and I'll
So
say, one of the benefits of being on that list, or as many as you can, we've got a lot of top producers. They'll just schedule it with their guy, right? And so we got tons of agents like that. Um, but then there's also kind of that middle tier of agents who, they've been told by their broker, hey, don't schedule the inspection with the client. There's some risk in that, liability, whatever, right? And so with those, if we're on that list, what are they doing? They're going through that list, the client is, and they're going to search each of the inspection companies. And since we've invested so much in our online presence, our name comes up. We've got 300 plus reviews online compared to the other two maybe on that list that maybe have 3 or 4, or maybe a couple of them are negative because they haven't invested in getting reviews. And then they go to our website and they see our message that really connects with them. They see our reviews on there. They see the videos we've produced. So they start building almost like a little bit of a rapport or relationship with us, our team, before they've even called us. And so that really helps. Like, okay, if this is who my agent recommends, I'm going to search them up and I'm going to choose the best one who I think is the best fit. And typically that's us.
mhm. It is, and your results certainly show it. And
Yeah.
your online results are just a fraction of your business. So
Mhm.
it's not like they're the majority yet, but we're trying to move it higher and higher, higher and higher percentage because there's some new tools out on the market today that will let us do it. And we're implementing those in Brandon and Sarah's sites as we speak. But one of the things I think that we should really just spend a bit more time on is that people will say, um, I don't want to switch websites because customers like it. I get positive comments about it, but they don't have Google Analytics installed. So
Mhm.
they don't really have any clue about does it generate, leads for, to make sales. So what would you just say to somebody again that has or they're reluctant to switch websites? They got something they like now, but we won't take that because we know what it takes to get you business. And, when you hire us, we're the expert, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of have some confidence that we're going to be able to get you these kinds of results together as a team, as your partner, but you kind of have to let go of some of those preconceived notions.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I've learned more, especially recently, is having a more long-term vision. And even a brand new website, once we converted to the Savvy, it didn't start ranking immediately. It takes a few months to really start to work out. Now, I will say though, our website when we came to Idaho, and we haven't really talked about that. We've got our second branch in Idaho, and it's a much smaller market. I mean, we're talking 150,000 people in our total service area. We're kind of a rural area here, but we chose this market because we felt like there was an opportunity to really be a dominant inspection company. So we did it actually as soon as we got our website up. Within a couple months, we were ranking #1 on top of the Google searches, and obviously that's not a typical result, but it does take time to kind of build up. But you can see that now that we've been doing this for several years and we've worked at it, we've gone for the reviews and we've made the videos and we've built our online presence. You can see in a relatively short amount of time. I want to say it was 2018, maybe 17, where we started our website with Savvy. We're producing now several hundred calls a month just from the website. And so having that longer term vision and saying, what do I really want? What's my greatest outcome that I desire? It's more inspections that produces more revenue.
Yeah.
So making that transition and just trusting the process of saying, hey, the Savvy Inspector, their program is proven to work. And I'm not here to like tout the Savvy so much. I'm just here to share my experience. And that's 100% my experience.
If it didn't work, you'd say that here too, wouldn't
Sure, why not? Yeah.
you? So I agree with that, and it's really about that. And I think one of the other objections that we hear a lot, you probably faced this in the beginning, because when you started Done For You Services or online marketing, digital marketing with the Savvy, you weren't as rich as you are now. So it was a cost thing too that you really had to think about. And so
Yeah.
what did you think about that? I mean, it wasn't free.
No.
So, it was an investment in your future. So how did you, let's just be honest, how did you talk the wife into it?
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely conversations there. I mean, she's not super involved in our Washington branch. Especially when we started, we had, I think, a little baby. Both of them were probably in diapers still at that point.
Mhm.
And so she was mostly with the kids. But, she was kind of my sounding board, and running ideas by her, and that sort of thing. The reality was, it was more than I was paying for the websites previously. But again, it came back to, okay, these guys, they do only home inspections. That's what they do. They can convince people, through my website, that we're the inspection company that's best for them. And I mean, you go back and look, it was almost $300,000 last year produced, or potentially. I'd have to go back and look at the actual numbers, but that's real money, especially
That's
for
just
like
from one location.
one inspector couldn't do all 700 of those calls.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, they sure couldn't. And one of the other things, Brandon, that we hear is, it takes some time to get this thing going, and I have to trust you. Do I trust you enough to say that? Because what happens is, when resources are somewhat limited, okay, then that, and you can be in any stage of your business and resources can be limited. So you need more leads that can turn into sales. So what happens is, ooh, I have to wait another month or 2 or 3 months to see the full results of this. I don't know how I feel about that. How did you get over
The few months, just like kind of that waiting period.
Yeah, it was hope that we're going to deliver what we
Mhm.
said.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just the way it is with, and no matter who's doing the website, like, if they're straight up and honest with you, they're going to tell you that it takes time to kind of show up in the algorithm, or, that's your thing. I don't do that,
Hmm.
but it takes time, right? Um, but again, just like my experience is what it is and what we talked about. So yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of faith that is involved, but that's with any inspection or any website, basically, whoever's doing the website. So it is like the time invested, and building systems around some of the other things that we coach at the Savvy, as far as like building your online presence and the reviews and whatnot.
One of the things that we try to do to allay fears of that concern for the business owner is we provide them all of the market research up front. So let's say, Brandon, in Seattle, in your location there, we're analyzing on Google My Business. There's only 3 spots in the pack before they start going down, and sometimes an ad, and then you have to push more results, which nobody's doing. Like, you know where to hide a dead body. I heard this the other day from an internet marketer buddy of mine. He said, where you hide a dead body? Page 2 of Google, because ain't nobody going to find
Yeah, that's true.
it. So, if you're not on page 1 and you're not in that 3 pack, you're not getting as much. But we
No.
can do research. There's only 3 people there, and we have to knock somebody out. Okay. And so we have tools that allow us to go in and say, what got them there? And then, can we outdo them? And the answer is always yes. But does it take a little bit of time? But I think one of the things that's helped us is we do some activity-based services first, like social media. You do
Mhm.
some social media posts, boom. How about some videos? We build videos and get those up. Okay, so you're starting to see some traffic in the very beginning. So we try to offset that fear of that, 60, 90-day period, by doing some things that are starting to get you some traffic now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Traffic, we mean leads. So we want people to do it. We do videos for you, but really the best videos are the ones you produce,
Mhm.
and then we can work our magic on those. So it is kind of a leap of faith, but anybody who tells you they can do it faster and guarantee a position in Google is being disingenuous. So don't listen
Yeah.
to that. I mean, if we own Google, we could do it, but we don't. And, they don't call up and say, Ken, here's the algorithm changes, buddy. And, here's how it's going to affect your customers. Oh, hell no. We
Yeah.
have to reverse engineer the whole thing and everything to see what they've done. And we're in a group of other internet marketers where we each take a piece and take a look and say, okay, we did this, this, and this is what happened. So that's it. But a lot of also, one of the things I see our competitors have these templates, these website templates. And, there's two components to getting them ranked. One is on-page SEO. In other words, are all the ducks in a row so Google can read your website, really understand what it's about, and then when searchers ask for it, pitch you up in the search results. But the second one is the infamous backlinks and off-site. And what happens? A lot of people don't understand anything about conversion. Beth was talking to someone the other day, and they had their SEO firm on there, and they weren't even aware of some of these concepts we were talking about. And I'm like, that's frightening. So it's not like Beth and I back here running a couple of hamsters and gambling on what we should post next on it. We got a huge staff. I was just saying to Brandon, we just hired 2 additional webmasters, and we have one more that we're hiring today. So over this week, so that we can just continue to keep up with the volume. But there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of cool advanced strategies coming out that'll help you get more business quicker. Because we realize 3 months is a long time, but when we had things built in the past before we did it, it took 3 months to show results.
Yeah.
But by giving you the research up front, saying this is the actions that have to happen, you're kind of in the loop. And so you don't feel like, oh, we took your money and didn't call you back for 3 months. That isn't the way it works.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not getting a monthly report, that's a pretty bad thing because you guys get it each month. Now, whether you read it or don't read it, that's a whole different story. But the fact of the matter is we're proud of what we do, and we produce a report for you to see it. Like one of the things you guys want to see is how many leads I got. So this is a little summary here that shows each one. How many calls am I getting? But we can actually tell you where the calls came from, what time of day, so you could staff plan from that. There's lots of benefits from understanding those types of things. Mr. Brandon, other things that you might want to say about, online marketing, not just necessarily the Savvy Inspector, but I clearly think online marketing is the way to go. In 2022, if we have recessionary pressures because of interest rates, supply chain, the crazy vax layoffs or terminations, all these things that are going on in the economy, and I don't care if you agree with it or don't agree with it, it doesn't matter to me. It's just, it is what it is. There might not be as much many units to inspect. So
Yeah. We committed a couple of years ago, and we kind of saw some of this transition starting to take place with some of these other big Zillow companies and Redfin bringing in their own agents and those types of things. Having an online presence and a good website that converts is just going to be more and more important for a successful business. I mean, look at our Washington branch. I was out there last week actually doing a visit and went around town a little bit to some of our offices with meeting some agents that we work with a ton. And it was ghost town city everywhere I went. And so how are these inspectors who've typically gone into these offices and met people there and palled around with them, how are they going to continue to build their business? And so we've positioned ourselves and we feel blessed for having done so, that we foresaw this coming, and obviously COVID kind of expedited all that. But now, everybody's working virtually now. So how are you going to go in and talk to a bunch of agents if they're not there? So how else are you going to connect with them? And that's going to be virtually through your website typically. And we see that continuing to evolve in the future. And so we continue to invest in our online presence. And here, could be this year, could be in a couple of years, we're going to continue to really benefit from that transition.
So I think what happens is, let's say that you have used, or your business consists of lots of non-top producers. And so one of the things we ask the Savvy members to see, where does their business come from? Top producer, non-top producer, the internet, referrals from lawyers or where's it come, prior clients, whatever. And I think what happens is when the non-top producers feel recessionary pressures and they're not making any money, they go do something else, whatever that happens to be. So if you're getting a bunch of business from them, that source of leads is gone. Okay, so really, I would encourage you today to give the Savvy Inspector a call, and you can get a free 30-minute consultation. A link will be below this interview. But the thing about it is to talk about to us about that, because if that referral source is gone, how are you going to fill your bucket up? I bet your employees aren't going to work for free if you don't have enough revenue. So that's the thing. And I think, Brandon, and we started in the internet when it was in the wild west infancy stages. I said to Beth, I think this internet's going to be something. I think we're going to get involved in it. And as it's really developed more and more and more. I mean, I'm stunned really about where it is today based on where it was when we started. But everybody uses the internet to find something. They kind of look at it like the phone book. I mean, if you want to find a good restaurant, or you want to find the local
Mhm.
hospital, or the day spa, or you want to get a mani pedi. I mean, so they put a phone book on our porch in Naples, and I said to Beth, "There's an alien object on the front porch. Call the bomb squad." She's like, "What is it?" I said, "It says it's a phone book. What's that?"
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, that's crazy. And then when people said, "Oh, on the internet, it's just the old phone book. I can't get any good leads from there." Well, that's not true at all either. The reason you're
Mhm.
not getting any good leads is because your website's set up wrong. You're not resonating with the person shopping. The one of the dumbest lines, probably shouldn't say, one of the most frustrating lines I read on a regular basis is, "A home is going to be the biggest purchase you've ever made." Duh.
Yeah.
I want to just say duh every time. Like, do you think the buyer knows that? I mean, here's what the buyer wants to know. I need a home inspection. Why should I choose you
Mhm.
over everybody else in your marketplace? That's all they want to know. They know they need a home inspection. So please, if you're writing that, this is the largest expense you'll ever have, throw that in the trash. One of my other pet peeves is, don't say we have the best customer service. That just throws me through the roof. What does that mean? We had a new customer, and Beth said, "I want you to talk to them about a couple of these terms they're using." And one of them was customer service was one of their USPs, or unique selling points. I'm like, man, what does customer service really mean?
Yeah.
So that was the thing. So there's a few things you don't put on there and a few things you do put on there. But the internet is not going away, because recession or no recession, the fact of the matter is people who are buying homes going to look on the internet for a home inspector. And if you're not there, boom. Now, Brandon, it took a bit to get you up and going to where you're getting, several $100,000 a year in sales from the internet. So, I mean, if you don't start now, you're going to be in trouble, aren't you? Because we're coming on that where that's more and more business from the home
Yeah.
inspection industry is coming from there.
Well, and that's why I made the point that had we done it a little differently, or would we do it again? The answer is yes. I just wish we had done it earlier, because had we, another year or 2 years of a jump start, where would we be now? Yeah.
Hmm. So I would just say to everybody who's on the call, and I'm sure you would agree with this, if you haven't gotten started by talking to us, then you should just go ahead and get a free consultation. We'll ask you to fill out a little bit of information before you talk to one of our friendly, fun, and exciting folks. It's no high pressure. If you want to do something, great. If you don't, we get it.
No.
We're a consumer as well. We don't want to be sold anything. We want to provide you the information you need. You make a business decision. If it's for us, great. If it's not, we understand that. We're big boys and girls. So, but it is the future of lead generation for the home inspection industry. And so I've been saying and saying and saying, like you said, COVID really sped that up. Nobody's at home now. You might find some top producers in there using the tools the broker has. But I think the trend too, Brandon, you tell me, even for Keller Williams, is to be online, less brick and mortar and more virtual.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how can they justify this giant office with nobody in it?
and all those expenses associated with it when nobody's home.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. You are exactly right. All right. Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Brandon, I appreciate you being on the call and sharing with all of the folks who are going to listen to this in the future about your experience with it, because it's a really important topic. And I think not enough home inspectors spend enough time thinking about it. They think about, how am I going to get more leads, but they don't always think the internet. And I think a lot of times because they don't know
Hmm.
it well enough. But you don't really have to do it. You can get a quality company to outsource. It's affordable. I mean, if people can get these kinds of results, and your results these are Brandon's results, not yours. So it depends on what you do. But the fact of the matter is, if you can get those kinds of results right there, um, for an investment, I'd be doing it all day long.
Hmm. Yeah.
Final parting words.
No, I'm just a normal guy trying to grow a business, and we've had some success, and Happy to share it.
Yeah, no templates for you, huh?
No.
All right, my friend. Thanks for being on the call, and
Yeah.
I will see you tomorrow on another call where we're going to really talk about to our members why they should be focused on top producers and not so much as non-top producers. So
Yeah.
I will see you on that call.
Great.
Thanks, Brandon. See ya.